Well, you missed a good story. I was going to tell you about the riot on Harrison, so screw you.
Okay, well, that was a voicemail we got last night, right as we were wrapping up Wednesday's 208. Karen, who left us that voicemail, was obviously disappointed somebody in the newsroom didn't pick up the phone when she called. But thankfully, Karen called back.
You were talking about different things that happened on Halloween on Harrison Boulevard in Boise. When I was in the 10th grade, I think it was 1956, we had a huge riot out there. Anyway, give me a call back if you want to hear about it. I'd be happy to tell you about it. It was so exciting.
The riot was exciting. And thank God Karen called back. And you better believe we called her back, too. Harrison Boulevard and Halloween have gone hand in hand for decades, kind of like Thing and Freddy Krueger, right? But if you think that mile stretch of road in Boise's North End is a bit disorderly in the 21st century with the thousands of people who parade on it, you should have seen it nearly 7 decades ago. Harrison Boulevard in Boise has always been big on Halloween.
Lucky for you, I'm not hungry anymore.
Oh, sure, some things may be bigger these days.
I could swallow you in one bite.
But the entertainment level may never be as high as it was in 1955.
And I was proud to be part of it. No.
At least, not for Karen Jennings.
I had some friends from North, and these girls were from East that I was with.
That night, Karen and her high school friends, after hiking to Harrison to go trick-or-treating,
Kids walking by.
heard there was a gathering at the end of the street.
You ought to come down here, you ought to come down here. And of course, we had to just, kind of just pop on down there and see what was going on. And here were guys that were juniors and seniors, too. And oh my goodness, yes.
Karen told us it'd been an odd night already.
This was after the fire trucks had sprayed us to get us off Harrison.
Yep, fire trucks, trying to put an end to what was described as one of the wildest Halloweens ever experienced by peace officers and firemen. Apparently, earlier in the evening, several dozen teenagers had been gathering on Harrison between Lemp and Reidenbaugh, more focused on tricks than the treats. They set off fireworks bombs, set fire to leaf piles, even an apartment building, according to the Idaho Statesman. They also hauled a dead cat onto the pavement, threw eggs and vegetables at passing cars, and fired their ammunition at police officers and firemen. For 2 hours, police tried to settle down the revelers who, quote, yelled, milled around, and cursed. That's when the fire hoses came out, to end the disturbance. But according to Karen, it wasn't over yet.
I remember Bobby Fisk's car being parked this way across the road so you couldn't, go on through. And over here's where the cop car was, and there was people all around, and somebody jumped on the police car. Oh my goodness. I mean, it was really something.
You had to have been scared.
No. No, it was exciting. It was fun. It was something different.
Did you get in trouble?
Well, yeah. I didn't say anything. And then it was in the paper the next day, of course.
And the paper said about 20 teenagers were turned over to juvenile authorities. But 6 18-year-olds, well, they were charged with disorderly conduct.
I know. They had to do something, though, didn't they? Oh, you guys, it was exciting.
Karen.
Yes, it was.
Can hardly contain her excitement 69 years later. Looking back, would you do it again?
Yep. In a New York minute, as they say. I wish everybody would have that much excitement at least once in their life.
Oh, yeah, it was exciting for a 15-year-old Karen and for an 84-year-old Karen, apparently. Probably not so much for the Harrison Boulevard homeowners, though, back in 1955, of which Karen became one years later. She told us she actually lived on Harrison from 1989 to 2005, so she was one of the houses handing out the candy to all the kids who would show up every year. She told us today, back then, she would stop handing out the candy when she got to about 250 trick-or-treaters. That was enough for her. That was a lot, she said, which brings me to another tidbit we found while researching this riot story. In 1952, there was a letter to the editor printed in the Idaho Statesman with a woman complaining about the 37 visitors she had had on Halloween. Like, that was too much. She wrote in, but then there was a resident of Harrison Boulevard who wrote back to say, 37, please, you think that's a lot? They wrote, quote, we have a mob. I've kept this record for the last 3 years. 1949, a total of 91 children. 1950, it was 62. Last year, 1951, 82. I always prepare for 75. Can you imagine if houses on Harrison only prepared for 75 trick-or-treaters every year? Well, these days, as you know, many of you know, they can expect 3,000 to 4,000 kids to walk up their front walks.